Hey everybody! In today's video, I'm going to be playing with a very fun new medium from a company that I just love, and I'll be wishing you a happy Halloween. I'm working with this sentiment from Picket Studios and this adorable mix and match little skeleton set. I'm going to use this pose that looks very classic for mine. Now look at this. If you love Derwent Inktense, you are going to love their new travel set. Comes with a little sponge. It comes with a water brush. I've swatched them out here so that you can see the colors. But I love my Inktense pencils. I love my Inktense blocks. And this is even better because I can just pop it in my watercolor bag. Now I've stamped the little rose onto some watercolor paper along with this sentiment, and I've stamped both of these in Nocturne, which is my favorite watercolor ink. And I'm going to place masks over each of the 3 images that I'm using. Actually, that's a lie. I'm only going to put it on 2. But I want the rose to be on her little skull. And so I have to stamp that first and then mask it with my favorite masking paper. I'll have a link to this below. And then I will stamp the skull on top of it. And I like this one because it's looking left, but her body is going to be sort of draped out to the right. Like, I don't know, a Reuben, some sort of Renaissance painter is what it looked like to me. Now I'll leave that mask in place and I'll just put the mask for the skull on top of that because then I want her head to be in front of her body. This pose just cracks me up. And that's why this sentiment was so perfect for this image. I'm sick, I know, but it makes me laugh. So whatever. So now I'll just stamp the body. And these little masks were super easy to cut out. And this company makes such fun stamps. I just love them. So if you click the link for this stamp set, do take a look at their other stamps because they're all so quirky and fun. So there she is. And doesn't she look glamorous? She's like, I am so beautiful. I'm just going to sit here and pose for you. Now, the Inktense pans work just like regular Inktense. So they are like watercolor when they're wet, but when they're dry, they are permanent like ink. And they are very saturated. You'll notice I'm using my silver brush for these instead of my normal Escoda Versatile brushes because I don't use my watercolor brushes with mediums that aren't actual just pigment watercolor. And since this is more like an ink, I reserve my silver brushes for those. Now see how since this is still wet, I can soften the hard line that I started with just like I would do with my Daniel Smith. It works just the same, but then you get a waterproof, permanent result when it's dry. So Inktense is kind of the best of all of it, really. But the best thing ever is being able to travel with any watercolor medium. So I love that they came out with this. I think they're a bunch of geniuses over there, and I had to have it. The palette is small, but you can mix a ton of colors from what you have here. This blue, for example, is really an ultramarine blue, which is a very mixable blue, and you can get lots of different shades and hues and tints out of this palette. So, and it's a super reasonable price. So add this to your little watercolor go bag. And a watercolor go bag is super important, especially at Halloween, because if the zombies come and you have to bug out, you need your watercolor go bag with you. You are not going to the end times without being able to journal and sketch your demise, people. That's just not going to happen. I'm a little bit sad because it has rained for literally like 40 years in a row in Austin, maybe 400 years. That's what it feels like. And our Halloween, which is actually today when I'm doing this voiceover, is going to be wet. And I think it's kind of going to be a bust. So I'm sad for the kiddos. I never did like it when Halloween was rained out when I was a kid because I've always really loved Halloween. And I also love on my Ring doorbell seeing the videos of the cute little kids coming up to ask for candy. So I'm a little bit sad. The bonus is I have a bunch of candy. So there's that. And I have my class this weekend, so I'm going to be able to give away some of that candy. Now you're seeing me use the black in the set here. I am adding some shadows, and to me, it's always amazing how a little painting goes from flat to realistic when you add the shadows. So I'm going to add a shadow for her on my imaginary floor as well. And I try to start light like I've done here and do gray shadows and then go into the part where the object is touching whatever it's casting a shadow on and add darker shadows at that line. Now I decided the orange flower wasn't all that, so I'm going to make it red for a little more Dia de los Muertos feel. And I think that livens it up quite a bit. She cracks me up. She's so glamorous and spooky. You can still be pretty even if you just have a skull head. I mean, don't go out without your little rose and your cute orange dress on, and nobody will know any better. The sentiments from Picket Fence are fun because they're so big and bold and they can really speak to your image like this one does here. So I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. I hope you have a fantastic Halloween. I hope it's not rained out wherever you are. And thanks so much for watching.